Hey, how's it going? Welcome back, everybody. We're on this week's episode of the Insider Gaming News Talk Show. I know it's been a bit since I've been traveling the last couple weeks and just been like life craziness. But we're back. Sorry about the little weird hiatuses we've had in between. We're here joined by Drunk Canadian, Kitty Crusade, and Kid Tutu. Welcome, everybody. So
Welcome.
we've had a little bit of time since we've gotten like real deep into some subjects today, and I think today is one of those days we're gonna have to dive in, go down those rabbit holes of a few really big topics that have been coming up a little bit more and more, and a couple of them are becoming a little bit more heated as time goes on. Some of the stuff, ooh, man, I'm excited. So we'll start with what our usual.
Giggling in the background.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's from my end.
That's all good, man.
Yeah, that's what I sound like deep down inside.
Oh, I thought I was going crazy there for a second. So
giggles like a schoolgirl.
I'm drunk Canadian today.
Oh snap!
Oh shit! Sorry.
Hey,
Wow.
Did you know Canada's actually bad? As someone from Canada,
let's fix this one on the fly.
All Canadians are cowards.
There we go. Sorry about that, guys.
No, I'm good.
I was like, I did it in a rush, and I was like, oh shit. Well, rip.
Nah, I can see we look almost exactly alike. DC says
like
that
twins,
all the
total,
time.
Total twins with the glasses and everything. You guys, I mean, I should just join you guys. Like, I got my fancy new gunners.
Ooh, check you out,
dude. They're gorgeous. I don't know if you guys have checked these out before. This is one of my little swag things from PAX East.
PAX.
How was PAX East?
Yeah, how was PAX East?
Let's talk about where you
Yeah, that's better than any game.
So PAX East itself was amazing. Actually, one of the topics today is actually going to include some of the stuff that I found out while I was at PAX East, including like I saw the Borderlands thing live, which was really cool to see. But PAX East itself was really good. I felt like it was missing a lot. Like a lot of the real heart of PAX East wasn't there. Like Zero Series wasn't there, Blue Mike wasn't there, Logitech wasn't there, Twitch itself wasn't there, which was like the biggest one because they had two giant sections of show floor and it was right in the middle. Like 3 of the entrances literally converged right on that spot, so they could have had like a ton of PR, and then they gave that spot up for some reason. But the show itself was really
not
good.
As good as other years.
This is my first time going, so I can't judge it. Like in comparison to PAX E or West, I like the convention center at East a lot better because it's just one giant open layout. If you guys haven't seen how it laid out, it's just one huge hall, and it was great. Whereas PAX East, the convention center is like 5 levels, and everything's spread out in all these different rooms and levels, basically. So it's really hard to find stuff sometimes. So that was one of my challenges with West versus East. East, like I said, I just really liked the layout. It was really good. Overall, it was cool. I mean, a lot of cool games that I got to play. Some of them we'll be talking about at our streamers meeting later. Now we got a bunch of keys coming to us. We're going to be partnering up with some new companies here soon, which will actually be a big announcement here in the next couple days from the INN stream team, which is really cool. I'm excited.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, Baskin Robbins. We're all eating free ice cream forever.
Ooh.
We get
No,
like
I made that up.
donuts.
That's not true.
With Dunkin' Donuts.
we can
Krispy
Donuts.
Kreme. Krispy
Krispy
Kreme.
Kreme.
That's
Krispy
what we
Kreme.
need.
Dude, that's gonna make us
Yeah.
too sluggish. We need just those sugar hits. I don't want anything sticky while I play
So
games.
what if we get Krispy Kreme, but you just eat the icing?
Oh man.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sold. I'm sold. I'm sold.
Story checks out. I'm in.
Just give me a cup of icing.
Oh man. So going on one of our usual things is what have we been playing this week, guys?
I have not been playing hardly anything at all. I did a little bit of dicking around in the division till it broke, and then I was working on a special project the rest of the week.
Oh, speaking of which, well, you'll actually see this special project at the end of the show, so stay tuned for that. Kitty, what about you?
Risk of Rain 2 has been my big game.
Hell yeah!
I
I need to
wanna
play more of that.
I want to play that so bad.
Dude,
It's so
it's
good.
multiplayer, so we can get a 4-man squad going for that. It's a good time.
I will love that.
Oh yeah.
And Enter the Gungeon just hit its final update, and
Yeah.
that's got another probably 60 hours of my life hidden in it somewhere.
Have you
We're
played
gonna
it yet?
cut in, can we make the stream a little bit loud?
Yeah. I mean, if it wants to work with me. There we go.
Maybe.
Yeah, these guys are.
Sick.
They're loading
Sorry to
one person
derail you
behind
though.
another.
You were talking about Gungeon.
I did. It's just if you haven't played it, you're a pleb, and you should play the game because it's one of the greatest games of all time now.
Very nice.
Gungeon
Well,
is pretty good. I've had a lot of fun
Dude.
with that.
I mean, it's on Switch and PC now, so everyone should play it.
Did you buy it on both? I did.
I did too.
The next time I have like a trip where I'm bringing my Switch, I'll probably buy it on the Switch. But right now,
What?
PC.
Plays
Gungeon?
really, really good. Yeah, it plays really good. On the
Dude,
Switch, actually.
I'm having this issue of like buying these indie games both like on PC and Switch just because I want to
Because
play it
they're
like on the
so
go or
cheap.
wherever. Yeah, they're so cheap and it's so convenient.
That's the microtransactions. That's how like
Yeah.
Clash of Clans gets you. This is how indie. Man, just keep buying it on it. You guys have phones?
Indie games
Buy it
are the
on
new
phone.
meta. New meta.
I have Hollow Knight on PC. I haven't touched it at all. Now I'm thinking about even buying it on Switch just because I want to play it and I want to have that convenience.
Dude, like I'm bad for it. Like I have No Man's Sky on my PC, my PlayStation. I have like Gungeon, Terraria, Minecraft. Like I
Yeah.
have so many duplicate. But
See,
what have you
that-
been playing all week, Tutu?
This week was midterms week for me, so my hair is all scraggly and my beard is unshaved. I went through the
You
ringer.
actually lost some hair a little bit there.
But I was able to squeeze in a little bit of Sekiro. I love that game. It's so freaking hard, punishing but rewarding. If anybody likes the Soulsborne formula, highly recommend it if you haven't gotten your hands on it. It's a lot more fast paced, a lot more like aggressive than the other Souls games. And I also got to play a little bit of Enter the Gungeon as well. Still like starting out with the game, so I didn't really get into much of the new content, but I love it. It's hard as hell as well, but in the same sense, it's rewarding when you can go through and overcome. Like I've only been able to pass like the first level, and like just doing that so far felt amazing to me.
Yeah, and you can lose your skill really quickly in that game too, because I'm not beating it every round now, and I'm like, man, am I bad at this game? And then I remembered when I started, I'm like dying first 3 rooms. So
Yeah, man,
Yeah.
that game was
Well,
really hard. Like I remember
is.
when I finally unlocked the Bullet, who is probably the best character in the game. I was like, man, I had a lot of hours in that game by that point. It's crazy how much that game will just suck your life up. It's
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna play it more. So on spring break now, vacation time, so I have more time to game. And
it's already spring break, eh? For you, it's not. I thought it was in March.
yeah, I usually thought it was like supposed to be around Easter, but it's just been happening weirdly
'cause-
now.
Because in Canada we get March break, which is like your guys' spring break, but it's always like mid-March.
Oh, weird.
well, I
Yeah.
mean, if it's called March break, it has to be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
but,
that's what
like,
I would
if it was
imagine.
if it was at the beginning of March, it would be closer to American spring break. You know what I mean? It's just like a. I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's move on.
There's
I
I
know.
would say there's spring break happening right now too.
Yeah.
But anyway,
It's just like in rolling weeks because of depending on the system they're on. But I've been playing Division 2 a lot. I also dug back into Magic the Gathering Arena because one of my good friends, the Asian Avenger, was actually this guy I met at PAX West. He competed in the $1 million Mythic Invitational that was at PAX East, and yeah, he got 6th place, so he got invited to go out to London. So he's going out to London in a few weeks to compete in another $1 million tournament out there. So that'll be really cool.
Nice.
So I'm just super excited about that. Division 2, I can't stop talking how good that game is.
I need to play it. I wanted to play it yesterday, but my freaking teachers gave me break homework. So
Oh man,
What's a jerk?
just
That's
just
elite.
just pick a day and hammer through it, and then you have the rest of the time to chill.
yeah,
Man's
so
just
that's
trying
what
to
I
better
did
himself, and
yesterday.
his teachers are dicking him around.
He's like, I just want to play some games, man. It's my break.
I just want to get an education, play some games. I don't see what the problem is.
All teachers are cops. That's all.
So let's dive into one of the big topics, or some of the topics for today. This one I'm actually particularly sad about. QC Games is closing here soon, which is the makers of Breach, which in turn, Breach is going to be shut down here soon, which really makes me sad.
How old is Breach?
Like a month. I
No,
feel like.
no, it's
Yeah,
it came out
like-
officially January
February?
January 15th. So it's like
So
like
it has
hell
not
of
had a
recent.
long life. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It's surprising how quickly that kind of turned around because I felt like they're doing well for a bit there.
Well, they did well in the first couple weeks. They did bounty boards for like the first 2 weeks of the launch, and it had pretty good coverage. But then like top players wasn't very good. It was like 1,500, 1,800. So realistically, it didn't do as well as I think most people thought it was.
I
Which
was
is
looking recently, and their concurrent numbers are really, really low, like much lower than I thought.
yeah. Let's see what it is lately.
Maybe
Wouldn't
there's
the
a boost
viewership
since
naturally
it's-
be going down if they're closing?
Well, yeah.
Why would you play?
I don't think people would want to
Oh.
jump on and play before.
Well, yeah,
it closes.
so it dropped even further, obviously past that. Now it's like the 24-hour peak is 12. At the
I feel like you
point,
probably end up having two groups of people, like people that are like, "Oh, game's closing, never gonna play this," and people like you, they just said like, "Oh, it's closing, I better get it."
yeah. Well, the average before was like around 400 when I last looked. When it was still before the announcement, it was like around 400.
Weirdly
What is
enough,
it now?
peak players in March was 446, but in February is 251. So it dropped hard in that first month.
Yeah. So I think that was part of the reason why it got shut down so quick. It just wasn't any traction. But the problem with the game is the game itself is really good. I thought it was actually a solid game. It just lacked so much content. Like you literally only had about maybe 4 hours of content unless you wanted to grind out the characters, which the problem with that, which is one of its hidden things, is the character progression system was probably the best I've ever seen in a game. Like you could go and you basically have your schools of magic, and then within those schools of magic, if you level all of those characters, you could interchange their abilities and mix and match and make your like ultimate character basically. But they didn't sell it that way, which was the kind of the weird thing.
I think there's a lot of stuff that you had to do your own research to realize why it was good, and that's
Yeah.
kind of why it didn't.
Yeah, and that
didn't
was
get taken off.
that was hands down one of its faults, I think. Like there was a lot of cool stuff about it, but yeah, unless you figured it out, you didn't know. Which wasn't really their fault. I mean, well, I guess it is really their fault, but yeah.
Yeah, I got to play it too. We got to play it together, and I really enjoyed like the core gameplay loop of it. But I could definitely see it getting repetitive, like really, really fast. And guess it did, and now it's paying.
Pretty much.
Then I felt like they were saying there was a lot of stuff still on the way, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna wait for that to come, then play.
Well, yeah, that was the thing.
Which-
It's like they had a roadmap for the entire year too. It wasn't even like a couple months out. No, they had stuff planned all the way till the end of the year, and like only one section of that, like one little blip of that, got filled basically before they were like, okay, well, guys, sorry, we're out. Maybe
Yeah, it's
they
kinda-
should have taken the Epic Store money.
Or as you were saying, you said like the game should have launched free to play. I entirely agree. I feel like
Yeah,
would've been
if-
so much better for
And
them.
that
Is that a $60 title, or was it
at
cheaper?
first, yes. So they launched
Oh,
a
wow.
$40 title for a founders pack, and then I think it was 2 or 3 weeks after launch they went and made a $10 starter pack that you could just jump into the game. But the problem is the game was made to be free to play, but they were charging people to do it, and they were advertising it as free to play. But they're like, it's not free to play for the starting early access period because we're going to come out of early access sometime in September, which was their goal. and then it was going
It's
to be free to play.
another Isles of Nine situation.
Yeah.
Different genres.
Same problem. Yeah, like all these small indie games that just come out and should have been free to play from the get go and didn't.
It's a lot easier for bigger companies to make free to play games though, because they already have the financial back.
Yeah, but this wasn't their first title either. Like INNmass was the company that owns that development studio, and they should have been able to jump on that pretty quick.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Wouldn't it be best to like just launch free to play and then have like the options for like these supporter packs and whatnot?
Yeah, that's what they should have done.
Basically, what we were saying.
But I think by them doing that must have been a sign that they needed money too, or really they actually came out to be they needed money. That's the only thing I can figure out is why they would do that. So I don't know. It makes me sad. The game had potential, but it floundered too early, which makes me sad. Also, the fact I spent $60 on the damn game too because I wanted the nicer founder pack.
You're a little more emotionally invested because of the money.
Yeah, dude. Like I had hopes for it. I wanted to support the game because it was really fun. I got to play through a lot of their alpha stages.
Think of it this game or this way. How many games have you spent money on that you don't play?
A lot now. All of them. I mean, let's put it this way.
There's no reason to be sad. Eventually, it would have been a game you'd never play again. So it's just their fact.
Well, no, I would have played it again because it was a fun co-op game with friends. Like hands down.
I just wanted the year's worth of stuff to come out, and then I was ready.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you're ready to put it to bed. Yeah, you feel robbed. I get it.
On other news, the Division 2 keeps getting better. They released their World Tier 5 with the Tidal Basin update, which released World Tier 5, also a new event, and also added a new heroic difficulty, which is really cool. This is part of one of the first cut free DLCs that are going to be for everybody. And yeah, I mean, the game keeps just getting better and better. And they learned they released most of the Side of DC's issue. I haven't gotten to that yet because I'm not up that high. Or
oh snap.
It's like,
well, he's in World Tier 3. I'm halfway through to get World Tier 2, and he's already at 3, almost going to 4 already. So I'm like, he hit a weird gear gap.
I fixed my bug. I'm not going anywhere.
So what's the actually bug? Let's just hear it.
So which one? We'll talk about the most recent. So right now what's happening is, despite the fact that I'm like near 380 right now, gear for me in World Tier 3 is dropping. Everything drops at a flat 250. Everything. Doesn't matter what it is. 250.
That's a weird one too, because I hadn't seen that yet.
Prior to that, it almost blew up my computer, which was pretty neat. And then that got fixed after an up. There was a couple other. I don't know. I've just had a terrible time with it, and I hate it.
That game is tough to run, even for me. Like playing it and streaming it at the same time is just like a no-go. Like that's why I've been playing it with the GeForce Now thing or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Oh, I mean,
so like the game is fun. It's just for me, I'm having like everybody's Anthem experience with it, whereas I had everybody's Division experience with Anthem.
I get that. That makes a lot of sense. You put it in terms
I feel like
I
it's
understand
karma.
now.
I think it's karma because I got so many legendaries in Anthem. Ubisoft's like, we got to take this guy down a peg.
I think that means if I go and play the Division 2, I'm really gonna like it.
100%, yeah. Because the game is still good. It's just I'm having a very poor experience.
That said, I'm sticking to the I'll play it in like a month when there's a lot of bugs fixed, everything's good. I mean, no longer I'm gonna play stuff when it comes out.
In retrospect, there's not that many bugs in it. Like I haven't experienced many. Yeah. Not like DC's experience anyway. But like all the stuff, I haven't run into anything.
Major. Man, I have those were just the major bugs. Like I have what are those things? Control points that won't complete. It just constantly says initiate attack, even though you've shot the flare. No enemies anywhere.
No, you know what that happens? That's when the support guys have to arrive there and then get held up by a patrol, and it gets even harder when it's after you're in world tiers, because they get held up by the Black Tusk guys.
Never even came.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They get held up. But,
I know what you're talking about. When they get held up, the thing says, and then it says they're in conflict.
Yeah.
I know about that. They don't I pull a flare, boom, flare goes off. It says no. It doesn't even say people are coming at all.
Oh, that's okay. That's a weird one.
It doesn't even initiate the dudes coming to even get held up. They don't even show up.
Yeah, last time me and Tutu played, we got that bug where we couldn't finish off the damn control point because the guys would never show up.
Yeah.
They kept getting held up by random patrols that kept spawning right there.
Yeah, well, the map's a fucking nightmare, man. It's chaos. Especially like when you first go to a new world tier and everything resets, and then you just see patrols everywhere that aren't friendly. Like it's
Oh, dude, yeah, you can't even go down the street without getting shot at now. It's great. But that's also what adds to the game too. It's really nice, I think.
I think they did that to get rid of the monotony of the running simulator that Division 1 was.
Yeah, there was a little too much just go there, do this, like
Yeah.
really fetch questy type stuff.
You know you're in trouble anytime a game has an auto run and an auto vault option.
You know, PUBG is a fine game, and
Oh yeah, so good, man. One of the greats.
I mean, I'm still gonna say like an INN's history in terms of like just hilarity in clips. They all came from PUBG. Like some of our best clips on the channel have ever come from there, except for a few.
There's more to that though. One, it's the only game we did squad up with.
Mhm.
True.
It's also the only game we had probably 8 or 9 people all playing at the same time.
True. Also,
We
very
did
true.
that with Apex. If we did that with CS:GO, if we did that with Fortnite, I'm sure we would have just as many, if not more, funny clips.
That's true.
Does say I have some good clips of even the COD BR from when a few of us were playing that, and we have at least a few from Apex.
Oh, that's true too. Yeah. Tucci, I'll let you get this next topic about the new Ubisoft title that's coming out.
Yeah. So yeah, this article was this was like leaked a while ago actually. There was some kind of image that was shopping around that was called like that had like files that said Assassin's Creed Ragnarok. But within the Division 2, someone found an Easter egg that linked to Assassin's Creed, and it was this it said like Valhalla was under the JFK Center, and it showed this like Viking guy holding a piece of Eden, which of course, if you know Assassin's Creed lore, that's like a huge thing. And so now everybody's speculating pretty much and sort of semi-confirming that Assassin's Creed is going into like the Viking era. So
Which
that should
makes
be really,
which
really
makes
cool.
sense because the Brotherhood was in full force by that point in the
Yeah.
9th century, 9th century.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just say one true thing, which is I used to watch lore videos for Assassin's Creed because they'd make me fall asleep quicker.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, like for a while, I would
fucking
bring that
smart,
up on
man.
YouTube, and it would just put you right out because they don't make a lick of sense. That's some nonsense stuff up there.
Oh wow.
I think
Yeah,
That's
it's
it. I like the games. That lore, I cannot follow it.
Just
It's
a quick
like,
off-topic thing, just with your falling asleep thing. I've been trying to watch the Flat Earther documentary for weeks. Falls.
God.
Oh man.
You have seen that? It's called Behind the Curve.
yeah, dude, it's really, really good. I watched that.
Oh,
I couldn't
jeez.
get through it, man. I'm at the part where they're trying to measure across the lake, and I'm like, I have a feeling they're just gonna prove themselves wrong, and I keep passing out, so I don't.
That's hilarious.
I need to watch this.
Dude,
Oh,
It's
spoiler
a
alert.
rough watch.
They're wrong. There's some clips that are.
Wait, they prove themselves wrong?
Yeah, and then they say, this can't be right.
Oh my god! Oh man, these numbers all add up, but it's not the result we want. Can't be.
Well
we
then.
must have screwed it up somewhere.
Oh my god.
Oh,
I
man.
mean,
It's-
yeah.
I was dying laughing.
I had a feeling that's what was gonna happen because in my head I'm like, this isn't gonna work. Like this is gonna prove that there's a curve, and
Yeah, what are you gonna do after that?
I'm really sorry I brought us off topic, but I
Nah,
just,
dude, I just thought of a real good game that should come out, which is just like a flat Earth simulator.
Oh man.
my
I would
God.
play that game.
Just for the lulls,
Fall
huh?
right off.
is it just like going around and fighting flat earthers, or
Well, there's three game
What's the
modes.
premise?
One is you try to intellectually debate why the Earth's not flat. Then it's
Okay,
a fighting
so
beat 'em up.
That's basically hardcore mode.
And then the last type is the Earth is actually flat, and it's just a sumo game.
Oh man.
That sounds awesome.
It's all good.
I feel like the arguing with them part is probably the hardest mode.
Dude, I'd lose my mind.
Because
get so angry.
it's a no-win situation. You have to lose at the end.
It's just all it is you're staring at like the most annoying looking one they can find, and every single thing you type, they just say the same stupid response back every time. So there's
It-
nothing
it
you
would-
can act.
Do you remember talking to Cleverbot on like AIM back in the day?
Oh yeah,
It
yeah.
would just be a
Yeah.
flat Earth Cleverbotter being like, I don't know about that. That doesn't really sound right. But how
Yeah,
does
or
gravity work? And it's just
it's like when you ask Google Home a question it doesn't know yet. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm still learning.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
maybe
sorry,
that's
the Earth is flat.
That's too mean. That's too mean.
Oh man.
I-
Kitty, you want to talk about this one? This next one?
Oh, so Fallout 76 got worse, which is impossible, and have decided that their terrible, terrible game can also be pay to win, and they did that by repair kits are now buyable. You can find them in game too, but they're also buyable, meaning you can just pay to have your super good equipment never break while killing poor people. This game is a travesty, and I'm very sad I own and love Fallout.
No, I'm actually. I think this is a good move for them, for BioWare. Anyway, it takes a bit of the heat off the dumpster fire of Anthem because now people are focused on this.
That's I like that. It makes BioWare better by just having another game that's doing really bad.
It's just reminding everybody, like, hey, don't forget about us.
You're
We're
going.
also
You're going from one bonfire to the other, basically. At this
Yeah,
point.
like the Fallout fires suddenly got a little bit bigger than the Anthem one, and people were like looking at that one.
No man.
So if I'm reading this correctly, or if I'm buying into this correctly, essentially you can buy these repair kits and go into like a fight with somebody and like instantly just auto repair in the middle of the fight and continue.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
there's
it's
a lot of problems on a bunch of different levels. One, the repairing thing. Like, yes, normally, typically in the game, you have to go back to your base to repair or use something that's not as good. And on top of that, you've also put perks into like things not breaking as much. But if some fucker with a credit card is just gonna be like, whatever, he can stack his perks to even be more powerful than everybody else because he's not worried about repairs and repair on the fly. So now he never has to stop. He can just PvP till his heart's content. He can go PvEing and get all kinds of loot forever. Like this is not just repairing items, like just the perk thing is so huge. And for anybody that plays Fallout, you know your perks are everything. The fact that you can rip them out of repairing stuff and put them in other things is huge and really unfair.
Yeah.
It's like instead of having a healing tree in the game, you're like, well, I'll pay for the healing tree and then I can go full offense, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's exactly that. It's exactly that. It's ridiculous.
So pretty bad.
Yep.
God.
Yeah.
That game somehow, I was like, man, this is gonna be a really bad game, and then it got in every single fashion worse than I expected. It's incredible.
It's a feat on its own. I must say, it's a feat on its own.
Like maybe though. Maybe
You think
Todd
maybe in
to
a year
kill-
it'll be good.
No, I think that one's past it. But maybe they're like, if the only way to get out of this company is to destroy it from within, and they're just maybe a lot of these people are trying to bomb these games and make them terrible to just get out of contracts. And I think there's got to be something. You can't release this many bad games.
You might as well
It's
go all the
impossible.
way to the full conspiracy level and be like, this is all the company's employees doing this intentionally to try and get a.
Well, see, I don't believe people can connect that easily. I think it's just the guy at the top purposely making bad decisions because he's like in a bad contract.
Maybe he's on like a crazy coke bender and he's like not thinking clearly because he has too much money.
That's how Doom gets made, and it's great.
It's like that guy from Horrible Bosses 2, Robbie Downey Jr. plays. And then his dad dies, so he gets the company. He's just that coke and he's running it into the ground and squeezing all the profits out of it. Maybe
Well, that's not Robert Downey Jr. That's Colin Farrell.
Oh yeah. Sorry, Colin Farrell. Yeah,
Same guy.
Same
basically,
guy.
Yeah.
Hey, one's
They
the
play
same.
basically the same roles in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's true. So this next topic, it was actually kind of fun. It's Twitch launches the squad stream thing. Have you guys gotten to check that out from any of the big streamers yet?
Yeah, it is pretty cool. I like it a lot for a lot of games. It doesn't work great for certain games where you need fine details, but I think it is a really solid Twitch thingy to bring.
What about you, Chichi? Have you gotten to see it yet?
No, I want to, and even before, like just now talking about, I was like, damn, I wish I could have seen it because it sounds.
You could
really awesome.
actually, you could probably find one here. Let me see if I can find one real quick.
Yeah.
The thing is, I don't think you can squad stream like old videos when you go to watch them. It doesn't save the squad.
No. It's only for live stuff, but
Yeah.
still. Let's see if I can find one.
I am a little disappointed that it's just, for partners only, because I feel like this is definitely a feature that affiliates could use too, that could help,
This is them
promote
testing,
affiliate
though.
channels and whatnot.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're-
I think they're gonna bring it to more people.
Yeah, it's gonna be like everything. Like even with the affiliate program, remember when it was super strict when it first came out because they were trialing it,
Mhm.
and then like now pretty much anybody can get affiliated in like a week. It'll be the same with this. It'll come down to affiliate.
There you go. So there's a squad stream with 2 people. It's not necessarily the same. So my thoughts on this so far, experiencing this from Mixer originally, and that was actually one of the reasons I fell in love with Mixer when I wanted to really try it out. Was their squad streaming was really, really good. It was solid. You couldn't find a fault in it. It combined your viewerships, it combined your chat. You can interact all in one place for everybody, which was great. Twitch's, I have a feeling that Mixer proprietary or made some proprietary bits in their squad streaming.
Yeah,
Because
I think-
Twitch's is not nearly as good, I don't think.
The chat switches too, right? The chats aren't linked.
Yeah, the chats aren't linked. You could listen to both streams at the same time, which is kind of confusing to some degree. But yeah, I don't. It's not the same. It doesn't provide the same level of quality as the Mixer version does, because it, like I said, combines viewership, so it actually helps both streamers out in that regard. So you can actually like really kind of bring a lot of that out. So I don't know. It's
To be fair, we've touched on the Mixer thing before. Mixer is ultimately the better platform. It just doesn't have. The
it
same
doesn't have the same company behind it, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
If Mixer had this, I mean, Mixer has Microsoft behind it, but it's not the same as level as Amazon, obviously. And if Mixer had a bigger following, like I would probably be on Mixer more than likely. I'm just saying. Like,
remember that like week that I was on Mixer and I like blew up. I was like, this community is fucking amazing and everybody's friendly. There was no toxicity.
the toxicity is the best
little
part. There's
thing,
nothing there, hardly anything.
Yeah,
there.
everybody's super friendly and nice and like, man, what
and
a
their
better-
TOS
better
is
place
very
to be.
straightforward. Like their TOS is like, if you fuck up in any of these ways, you're gone. That's it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it was pretty cut and dry, and like I just like their pages are nice and it's easy to work with. It's just a way better system.
well, yeah, and then even then their FTL capability, like their sub-second delay, is sub-second delay. Like Twitch's low latency is pretty good. It's within a couple seconds, but it's still not Mixer's quality of sub-second. So
I
that's
think Mixer has that ability because they don't have as many people though, too, right?
yes
Look
and
at
no,
the
because
volume Twitch is dealing with.
it's ultimately it's not even on their end. It's on the consumer's end. It's just a streaming platform or the tool on the streaming platform. It's not even on the
Yeah, when
broadcasting
you
tool.
stream, you're not you stream to a server, which is their server, right? The quality
But
of that server determines.
it happens before that though. It happens before it even gets to their server. It happens on your end, not their end.
Okay.
Hmm.
I wasn't sure where in the chain it was.
Yeah. So everything happens locally. It's the way they do it. It just parses out chunks in smaller amounts. So like
Gotcha.
instead of like a half second or say a half meg chunk, it's like in quarter meg or tenth of a meg chunks, and they just send out way faster. That's all it is.
Gotcha.
Twitches, I think, are doing it on hardware, which is harder in the end.
Yeah. That said, I mean, I think as much as I want to go to a place with like the better hardware and stuff, part of the reason Twitch is good is because they have so many people watching them that you can turn it more into like there's a little bit more business facing. I do understand the benefits of Mixer, but I do think Twitch does have some good offerings.
Yeah.
Which is why we're here.
Well, yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, I
ultimately
just
the
think if
reason
there
why
was
we're
more
here.
people
That
on
and also
Mixer.
I think Mixer has a bad name. That's another one. It sounds like
Why not?
people
Yeah.
grabbing drinks and trying to
Yeah,
or it's the
The Mixer.
Catalina wine mixer.
grabbing drinks and trying to do each other, like I just said.
No, from the
That's what a mixer
movie.
is. I understand. I'm saying
That
that's
was
what
epic.
the Catalina wine mixer was. That type of situation.
I thought they were just trying to sell boats and hoes.
Exactly. Again, I don't know how many times I have to say it.
It sounds like a good time. I'm not.
Yeah, I mean it's cool. I mean, like I said, I hope this is just the first round of it. Maybe they'll improve it a little bit. I think it still needs some work. No, it's talking about a movie. It's a movie reference from Step Brothers.
I know he's purposely being obtuse. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'm just being a dink.
So
No, not you, Dizzy.
I thought it
No.
was me.
So on one of our big topics, we kind of touched base a little bit on it, is the trouble at EA and BioWare lately. I mean, for multiple reasons. The first of them was the huge layoffs, which laid off about 350 people, most of them being in marketing and community management, which really doesn't make any sense why they would strip from those, because that's kind of like your meat and potatoes to the community.
We just put out a stinker of a game. Let's get rid of our community management.
Yeah.
Doesn't
And
Ubisoft keep kind of poking fun at EA and other companies for doing this? They're like,
oh
they
yeah,
put out a press thing where they said like, we had an excellent year, we're not laying off people. Like they threw that in.
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. And they didn't. And that was another company that was super profitable this year. They
Yeah,
didn't.
like
they didn't decline in profits still, even regardless of the fact that they released a dumpster fire.
Well, what did they say? It was projected. They projecting losses, so they were just like getting it.
Yeah, they're trying to negate the projection.
Can you imagine? Like, you must mean absolutely nothing to a company when they're like, "Man, we might not sell as much this year. Let's go ahead. We could cut some corners. Where could we cut corners? Let's get rid of people."
Yeah, and that's sad. That's the first thought that they go through.
Like, it has to have been right. Like, or did they sit around and be like, "Well, where could we go?" And then that's the final option. I find that hard.
Yeah, it's tough. Apex also, on a more pleasant note, Apex released a new anti-cheat, and it bans people by hardware IDs, which is actually super good for me, because most of the time they were doing it by like gamer ID.
Good.
It was by gamer ID before, and it was just terrible. And it's just, like, you do it by gamer ID, you can't really do much with it, right? Like, it's just,
Well, remember we were screaming about this in the PUBG days.
yeah.
There
Oh,
was
like how this
when
should have been
it
done in
got
the
bad,
PUBG.
and they're just like, and they kept saying we're not region locking, we're not hardware banning, and it was just hackers, nonstop hackers, and then the botters doing the skin market. That was insane.
Yeah.
What a fucking disaster that game was. Like everybody keeps saying, man, that was a lot of fun. That game was terrible.
I mean, I still don't understand how it's still so unoptimized after years. Like, it's been at what, 2 years, almost 3 years now, and it's
Because
still,
people are still playing it, so there's no reason. So like a game starts like having no players and costs them money, they're not going to do anything.
yeah.
I mean, that's fair.
Going on the topic back on BioWare, there was a huge Kotaku article released by, I can't remember what's his name.
It's
Jason Schreier.
Jason Schreier. He is a
God in
huge.
journalism.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude,
like-
he's become the best gaming journalist by far.
Is this the Anthem Kotaku armor?
Yeah. The one where he's basically, he did a lot of digging and talked to, like, I think it was like over 30 different people, 30 or 40 different people from.
I thought he said like
20.
18 that he had that were allowed to talk about.
Yeah. Well, there's all like former employees now.
Yeah, but
so
they
they're
were still allowed to. Yeah.
But basically goes into the whole thing of, like, basically over the years they've had a revolving door in producers for some reason after what's his name, Casey something.
Casey Hudson.
Yeah.
Casey Hudson. Oh, it's right there. Duh. Casey Hudson left as the main producer to go work on another title that they were coming out with, which was still unannounced. And
Didn't they also have in the article too that Casey Hudson pulled out the EA devs that had worked with the Frostbite engine to work on FIFA? Like that was another problem.
yeah, and it's basically a lot of the big problems was they went with the Frostbite engine and using it ways it wasn't originally intended to. So it was intended
It's
mostly
great
for Battlefield.
Battlefield.
Yeah, it's Battlefield. It's a Battlefield engine. It was made specifically to run Battlefield, and they're
And
trying to use.
first person
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah.
Reading about them trying to make a new third-person camera for that, which cringe. It's just like, oh man, I didn't realize the trouble they had to go through, dude. That sucks.
I'm confused by that though. Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, when I get in a helicopter, I can go third person. I can get in a tank and go third person. And that shit was flawless and worked no problem. So I'm confused at why they had so many issues with third person.
I think it was because it's in a different section of the code. Because like
Yeah, maybe.
player controls versus vehicle controls are kept in separate parts of code for some stupid reason.
Just act like you're always in a vehicle.
Basically,
Game solved.
I don't know. It's just like obviously I don't develop games, but to me, if you've done it before, I don't see why it's reinventing the wheel the second time.
yeah.
Well, I think that was a lot of their problem is based on that article. They just wanted to reinvent the wheel 50 times instead of, making a game.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's
And-
fallout from them pulling out the devs that had access, like had worked with the Frostbite engine. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe it was something they could have simply done.
And what was even worse is they pulled out all the people that were working on what was it, Mass Effect? It was either Mass Effect or the new Dragon Age. They pulled people off of that to work on this, which caused a whole bunch of chaos because of the different styles of designing the game, basically, and it just turned into this whole like multiple year drama, essentially.
One of the most interesting things I found about it was that the higher ups were saying like, don't talk about Destiny 2 here. We're not making Destiny 2.
Oh
And
yeah,
then
I
what
was.
they did was make, hey, what if everything good about Destiny 2 was stripped from the game and we gave that game out? Like, and I'm like, why not learn from people who are doing well? Like that'd be the best way to make a game is here's Destiny 2 but even better. I
Yeah,
might buy that game.
and they were on a. It seemed like they were on a pretty good path to start, but it, like for whatever reason, all this change of direction obviously caused all this fragmentation, which is one of the things that a lot of the review companies complained about. That the
Yeah.
game feels fragmented. Like there's not one, easy, coherent vision of the game. In fact, the
Even the
Anthem name.
story.
Yeah.
Even the story. When they like did voice capture or the face motion capture for people, and then the story changed, and they're like, "Well, it's too expensive to go back and recapture." So the story like doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I talked to personally someone who did a lot of the storyline stuff in that game, and she was telling me like, yeah, there's just like storylines that got cut out, and a few things won't make that much sense given without that storyline. Like they were there to add filler for like a different person. So now this guy's just like some old creep when he was like actually a really cool character at one point.
Yeah.
Well,
what was that?
Hadouken
guy
or
from
whatever
the
his name is?
Dragon Age. They
I
got rid
think
of.
so. I'm not sure. I don't remember any of the characters' names from that game.
I still
I just
think the
remember
worst part about
freelancing.
all of this is that when you load up Anthem and like go into free play or go into a mission and fly around and do that shit, it still feels amazing. The game
Mhm.
still feels and looks amazing. There's just nothing to do,
Yeah.
which is really sad. That it's like it's still fun.
Yeah.
The worst part is that there's a few glimmers in that article about like the game they almost made where it's like random
Beyond?
events happening all the
Beyond,
time with like random weather and all this stuff and like random world events happening. I'm like, that game sounds sick. And then they're like, yeah, but we couldn't do it good. And I'm like, shit.
So we're getting your second choice,
Yeah. So
possibly
we
the third choice.
got something else.
Yeah. And that's the
Yeah.
sad part too, is a lot of it just sounded so good. And that, sorry.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Did
this
you?
article was incredible. Like, the most like eye-opening thing to me was like reading like this game was in development since or like in pre-production since like 2012, and it took them this
6
long
years,
to
yeah.
actually come up with an idea. And most of it was just like because of their lack of leadership, just back and
Mhm.
forth and back and forth. They didn't even have like a real concrete idea until like last year. So
And it was like
game
late last year. It was
essentially-
like August or
in
September.
development last year, and that really shows like when you play the game, and it's sad and it's crazy because like even looking back to that E3 trailer they showed, and to think like that trailer was fake, and like it's
I was just about
yeah,
to cut it off. Actually, I was
it's
like the No
crazy.
Man's Sky bullshit they pulled.
Yeah.
They're like, you
Uh-huh.
come check out this cool thing that we're not.
Yeah, and you look back, it's like wow, none of this it was real, none of this actually existed.
Hey, your game's gonna have multiplayer, right? Oh yeah, totally.
I mean, kinda. Basically.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean, you
it,
played at the same time as other people playing.
That's technically multiple players, right?
Yeah. 2 people bought this game.
but the
Define like you're like your game will have multiplayer, right? Define multiplayer.
the,
Yeah.
the craziest part of it is they had, just because of this game and how bad the development process was, they had people that were in BioWare for like a decade or longer that left because of this project. That was one of the things, like the big eye-opening things, like geez, like so you guys lost like some of the best storytellers, programmers, everything else for your games over indecisive producers that couldn't really manage what they wanted the vision to be. And once your main producer left because he got pulled onto another project that was more important, apparently, all of this stuff kind of basically fell to shit, which kind of sucks because, like I said, even the trailer you guys are talking about that we saw at E3, it was fantastic. I was super hyped.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Dude,
I
I
mean,
was playing Anthem this morning, and I got my Elysian key, and I still had a good time doing it.
But maybe I have a feeling the game will be better because they'll have to get a better direction now that the community is involved and stuff. But I don't know if it'll be too little, too late kind of story.
Well, the community rage is starting to shift. You're starting to see a lot more articles on Reddit getting upvoted saying like, "I just wish they would just shut it down and reboot it," because people want it to be good. They want it to succeed because it is.
Yeah.
Also, one of the things about games nowadays is you can't like they put so much money into this game. They're gonna go with it's too big to fail, and they'll pump FIFA money into the game until it starts working.
Or Madden
properly.
money.
Yeah,
I think this game will turn around. It will.
like it's
mean-
hard for it not to eventually, right?
Like Division
they
1
gotta
turned
have one
around.
smart dude there.
Division 2 turned around, and it took like 6-7 months for it to finally turn around. Yeah, Division 1, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
That
same
thing
thing with
was-
Destiny 1.
That was a
Yeah.
terrible game.
Like
Even
all those
Destiny
types
2.
of games can.
Sadly, Destiny 2, yeah.
Diablo 3 got good.
Yeah.
And
I
that was
think.
terrible.
Yeah, that was
Actually, there
terrible.
was
I
There was a
hated
good
it.
article on Reddit about the luck and comparisons to Diablo and how Diablo was terrible, and then when they finally got rid of Magic Find and just like leveled the playing field for everybody, it started to get a lot.
Hmm.
So
The
hopefully,
So-
we'll start listening to some of that stuff because man,
All I'm saying is someone over there grab DC, make him head of making things not suck, and then in a year I'll play the game.
I could get it sorted out in like 2 weeks, man.
So what was crazy about all this too is after the going back on the BioWare thing is they quickly responded like within
Yeah.
hours of
No.
that article.
In under 15 minutes,
He
they
didn't
responded.
read it.
That article.
Oh, really? That
I
quick?
don't think- They didn't
Yeah.
respond to the article.
That article
I
takes like an hour to
suspect-
read.
Yeah, I know.
I
That's why.
suspect they were already about to post that anyway, and then it just came out right after Kotoku.
No, basically,
Oh, they acknowledged it.
Jason said he was going to release this and asked if they wanted to comment on it. And then within 15 minutes of him putting it up, they
They responded.
basically responded with that's not how we see it, blah blah blah. Don't hate game developers because it's a bad look. And then he's like, dude, I didn't hate game developers, you didn't read my article. But then they have since then released a thing going, yeah, we did have some problems probably,
Casey
but
Hudson talked about
Yeah,
Yeah.
it.
the
not-
Casey Hudson email
Yeah.
was a little revealing, but also
Yeah.
optimistic.
So there's the
But,
two
they
articles
also-
there. It's like their response, which ended up being kind of a short-winded response, but it was clearly you could clearly see they didn't read the full article.
yeah, the original response was like really dismissive and hasty, and it was bad for sure. And then they did tell their employees, don't talk to the press, which is all I'm saying, always a bad look.
Oh yeah.
And only time I've ever told that to my employees, I had fucked something up bad.
You have to kind of look at it from their point of view, though, too. Like, if you were to look at the whole Anthem thing that's going on with the bad publicity they're getting, it's more than what they deserve. Like, there's a look at Fallout, No Man's Sky, like any of those other. What are some of the other big flops that flop just as hard, if not harder, than Anthem? But yet Anthem's getting so much focus.
Yeah.
Well, because it's new. I talk shit about every one of those games.
Fallout didn't get it this bad when they first launched.
Yeah, dude, yes they did.
Oh,
I
yeah, they
talk
did.
shit about Fallout.
for
we
this
we
long,
weren't
so
we
much.
weren't we weren't invested in that one as much though, like as a whole.
I
Like,
was
none of
playing
our-
that game every night. I was super invested in that.
Oh, okay. I mean,
Yeah,
like
I didn't buy it.
And I was
So
following
didn't
it, and
play
I
it
didn't
'cause I
see
hated it.
nearly as much Reddit hate. I didn't see nearly as many like
I'm with
major
Kitty.
articles coming out.
I'm saying I hate every game equally. They're all bad except for small niche indie games like Enter the Gungeon.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong, but I don't know.
Wait,
I just feel like personally that you've been getting.
I just
more
think
hate
with
than-
Anthem, it was kind of like the writing was on the wall. Like you can see, like there's something about this game that you can see that was troubled, and you just couldn't make out like what it was. And so, like, I think like people like Jason Schreier, of course, wanted to dig a little more and find out about like what the hell went wrong with this, because like it was really, really there was something about it. Definitely, not say it was like bad or anything, but there was something like off. And I think even people that like it, like even though you like it, you can tell that there was something off about it.
Like
The
I
big kicker
I
for
s-
me was when we asked for a stat page, and the devs were like,
Yeah.
I was like, why can't you generate a stat page? What's going on underneath the layer of your game that like you can't give us a page?
Like, you have to tell us where to find that though, because it's going real hard, guys.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember back to that story even where someone like had a level 1 gun and they were like killing the
Yeah,
highest enemies like
it was the
better
level
than
of
the
defender,
yeah,
and then they figured out your gear score was all that mattered.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
didn't matter what the inscriptions were. Like that's why they can't narrow down their stat page. So that's why I was like, okay, something is actually like fucking up their main stats in the game. So that's not an easy.
But that's a pretty bad thing to have
That's
wrong
a
with your game.
horrible bad
Is-
thing.
is- well, the stats don't work, but let's release the game.
Well, and
that
that's why
that's
people
scary.
are like, the luck is like going up and down for people, or like health generating incorrectly depending on what mission you're in. It's like their stats shift fluidly depending on what you're doing. Like that's got to be a nightmare to try and figure out like what the fuck is going
Well,
on.
that's also something we talked about too, right? On the drop rates, because that's like they still for whatever reason can't get their drop. Like they're making another patch tomorrow that's fixing drop rates again because they can't get drop rates right, and because it
That's what I
never
mean.
stays
Like
the same.
something in the foundation of how that game runs is broken, and like they either need to shut it off to fix it, or it's going to take them.
Well, what's even scarier too is they run all their stat stuff server side. They don't even run it client side, which is even scarier. I think that's part of the reason why they can't do it either, because it's all live running. And if they shut that part down, like achievements, stat tracking for your huge quest lines, all that stuff stops working, right? So it's probably one of those things they either have to shut it down to fix it, or they're gonna have to try to fix it on the fly, and it's essentially a moving target always.
Well, it is the last 10 minutes, so we should probably.
Oh, talk about our main thing. That's good because
Yeah.
then we can cut it off. I get.
Yeah. So the last bit on that was just the fact that Casey Hudson reveals that all that stuff is real. Like,
Yeah.
that was the nail in the
Yeah,
coffin for that whole story.
I mean, it'd be hard to turn around and say no. Like, surprise, the problems that they found evidence about. Yeah, those are real.
Yeah. By the way, sorry guys. Yeah, that's really true.
Turns out, yeah.
So going into our main topic, our last bit, which is going to probably take us over a little bit, more Epic Store drama. Essentially, it comes down to more Epic Store drama. Some of this stuff continues to blow my mind, like literally blow my mind on how much this is coming across. For one, what we got to the upside is we got to see Borderlands 3. It's got over 1 billion different guns, which is cool. The downside.
Okay. Can I just for 1 second?
Go for it.
Borderlands 2 had 1 quadrillion guns.
Did it really?
So this has less guns. Yeah, if you go watch the
Yeah.
Borderlands 2 trailer, they made up some crazy. It was like a Googleplex. So
That,
there's less guns now. Less guns.
that said, is the way they define a gun is kind of silly. They have probably maybe a
Random number
1,000
generator.
modifiers, and
Yeah.
then they run it through a random number generator. That said, the guns in Borderlands have always been fun and great, so I'm not gonna say anything bad about it. A billion's enough. You know,
Bill-
a billion's enough for me. That's
billion.
what I'll say.
It'll probably be billions, really. But anyway, yeah. So the big backlash is immediately after the 4 days after they announced the game at PAX East, which I was there for the live announcement, which was really cool to see. They announced it was going to be an Epic Store exclusive on PC. Now, obviously, we've been talking about this on and off, like every couple shows, on how much people are getting pissed about the Epic Store exclusives. I mean, there's a variety of reasons why people don't like it. One of them is like, some people don't like the store exclusivity because it forces you to use Epic Store. There's some of it people just don't like having another launcher. Other people just don't like supporting bad business practices. I mean, there's a variety of reasons. I mean, all of us out here on the show have pretty much a different opinion on it for the most part.
I like how you basically just shut up both mine and Kitty's rants right there. Well,
Yeah, it was really well done.
I probably just cut like 20 minutes off the show, man. Well done.
But I mean, it's true though. Everybody has like their different problems with it. Like I personally don't want another launcher, and I don't like the fact that the store is incomplete for me, like to ever even consider buying this stuff. But for the fact that I
still
own,
have their support page on Steam.
yeah,
Wow.
I'm on the end where it's really hard for me to like see, like I do understand that there's problems, but it's really hard for me to, like, if there's a game you want, like why not just buy it there? Like I don't understand that. Like I brought up the app argument. I know you try to debunk it, but I'm like, your phone has so many apps on it, and you go to each app to do a different thing. Like why can't you do that for your computer?
See,
You do
I
do that.
actually don't mind that though, because it's whatever. I just don't want this specific app, which is going to release my data to hackers or sell it to the Chinese, depending on how they feel that day.
You've been
to
watching a lot of the
constantly
Blacklist
go.
lately.
No, dude, like it is a terribly made application, and I
Wow.
won't. In
Dude.
general, Tencent's such a bad company that I won't fund anything they're involved in.
With the phone thing, I guess Steam's more like the folder in which you put all your game apps in.
Yeah, I could see that, but
So then you'd have to put half your games in one folder and half your games in another folder.
To me, I don't see the initial problem with that though. Like I see Tommy's argument where like I do see
It's just a
issues,
personal argument.
but
I'm not saying
Yeah.
this is everybody's thing. This is just why I don't like.
okay. But I mean, like, I understand that, but it's like everybody's just going so crazy about it, and like I don't get it. Like okay, you have your issue, and if you do have your issue, then like it does suck in a way. But for me, I'm just like I'm more than willing to buy it on the Epic Game Store. I get that there's issues with like the clouds, and people don't want another launcher. But for me, I'm just like I don't mind it. Like to me, this is like on Steam's court. Like Steam has
Steam.
got to have a better revenue cut for these companies and developers out there, because they're just going to keep going to Epic if that's
And
not the case.
just to think what the catalyst for all this stuff was when Steam released what their actual cuts were. They're like, we're going to improve our cuts for our developers. Here's what it is.
Yeah.
Immediately, not even a week later, Epic comes in with it. Discord started with it right after that. Discord started with it saying, we're going to give a better cut. GOG started that we're going to give a better cut. And then Epic's like, we're going to give a better cut and pay these developers to come to our store. So like, what about that?
It's not sustainable though.
No.
Like what Epic's
Well,
doing.
even they said they're
One of
not
two
going to
things
do
are
it. They're not going to do it for another year, like less than a year or something.
I feel like I'm watching the fucking Office with the Scott Paper Company. That's what I feel like is happening right now. They're undercutting everybody, which isn't sustainable. They're gonna just try and suck in a bunch of business, and it's either gonna drive Steam to make some changes, or it's not sustainable and they just become like Steam, and then you have two things that equally have as many games.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like I'm not necessarily unhappy with it. I just don't want to go and do something like any game that I have to sink 20 or more hours into, like especially stuff as often as I do, like is a personal thing for me. If I stop playing a game, sometimes I wait till months to come after it, or even sometimes I even forget about it, and I'll come back to it and I'll have reformatted my hard drive. Now what happens? I don't have cloud saves. Now I can't play my old save again. Now I've lost all interest in playing it. But that's a personal me thing. But the big one where a lot more people are getting upset now is Epic's going after games that are already on Steam now after the fact that they said, "Oh, hey, we're not going to we're not going to poach games off Steam anymore because of what happened with Metro." And that's a huge problem.
Yeah,
that's
to me,
also
that's
another greasy thing they're doing.
Yeah, that's really uncool. It's like, oh, I have to pre-order, because people have the game pre-ordered on Steam because they run their PC on Linux, and then they go, we're going to Epic, which doesn't even have a Linux launcher, so that person has to get refunded at that point. They can't even get the game.
Yeah,
it's stuff like that. It's like, what
or
the
same thing with the Mac. Like Epic Store doesn't support Mac either, or Mac OS. OS X. No.
That's what I mean. There's no longevity to this plan of theirs. They have no support. They're using Steam's support. They're poaching. They're undercutting. Like it's not. This is not going to.
I was gonna say, do you guys remember Tom Cruise's not Tom Cruise, fuck, the Canadian guy, Tom
Hanks?
The funny one.
Green?
Tom Green?
Tom Green. His Undercutter's
funny,
Pizza.
Oh yeah.
That guy's funny. Yeah. That's what they're doing, is they're chasing after Steam with like a shitty pizza, trying to like be like, I'll give it to you for half price, and people are like, dude, get out of here. This is terrible.
The thing I hate about having multiple things, like I think when I was loading up Division, I was like, "Fucking Uplay," because like I have like one game on Origin, one game on Uplay, so I never update any of that shit ever. It's never open. So when I go to play something, I have to wait for downloads. It's annoying, which is my own fault. I get it. I'm bitching about myself and my lazy practices, but that's why I don't like.
In retrospect, too, like Division 2, even if it was on Steam, I mean, the Division 2 only went on Steam and Epic this time. Or Uplay and Epic, but even when you bought Uplay games on Steam. Like you had to still open. Yeah, they sync through, and you still had to use it. It's the same thing with the Epic Store.
I didn't mind that as much because it was in my Steam library.
Yeah, and really, Steam has to respond soon at some point. Like really, Steam really has to stop.
They could just wait it out.
The other thing is they could.
And what would they respond with? Like if they started trying to get people back and undercutting, everybody else is going to bail or demand the same thing. I think their best option is just wait it out.
I think Steam's best move is not to go after publishers still, but to continue putting out more support for customers. And then they're going to be like, well, screw Epic. I'm going to go to the place that gives me, all this good stuff. And I'm not saying Steam's great, and they spent a decade being pretty bad, but it's pretty decent now. The stuff they're putting out works. And I've seen Steam mess up once in the past, like 6 months. I'm still happy with them.
Well, we kind of talked about it before too. Like, it's not like Steam was this horrible monopoly corporation that's absolutely unfair to everybody. They're actually doing a pretty good job, and I didn't think their rates were that, you know, unreasonable considering they were the biggest,
But that's the thing too. We have to consider. Like, yeah, everybody all downloaded the Epic launcher because of Fortnite, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to go and play other games, like pick up those other games. But Steam has such a massive user base behind it. It's something like 10 billion or something now on users, on like
Yeah,
total
like,
users that
that's
have registered
not-
in the store. That's not a small number.
Like, you siphon a couple of major titles, people are just going to continue using Steam and then buy those titles on your store. Use only those ones, and then when you can't sustain your crazy business practices anymore, what happens?
Yeah, it's just insane.
I think Steam can honestly just wait it out.
And even if they went up another 10% and did an 80-20 cut, like that would already be enough to be like, okay, that the volume of people negates that other discount.
Well,
Yeah, I was gonna say real quick. I think it's twofold. Like as Tommy said, I think Steam needs to do a lot more as far as the developer side and having better deals and better revenue for them. And then of course Epic needs to do a lot more for the consumer side because it's shit right now.
At the same
Essentially,
time,
what they need to do is Steam buys Epic Store.
yeah, they don't have $10 billion to waste, unfortunately.
No, buy Epic, just their store, and they
Just the
take out
store.
their dev thing, and they smash it together with their customer support thing, and then boom, you have the perfect.
see the other thing too. I think that Steam could really do, aside of the cuts, like even if they didn't want to do cuts, is just stop allowing shitty games to go on Steam. That could be another big improvement by itself. That's a quality of life improvement that everybody would appreciate.
I don't agree with that though, because they tried that and people got upset. Them
Because
curating their own
Steam
games
censorship, and then
well, they were like, this game is good, it should be on Steam, and it's who gets to decide what's good. And kind of you have to just let the users say, hey,
Steam
we're gonna
already
massively...
lets you.
Oh, the green light
download
thing?
this.
You're talking about the green light thing,
Yeah,
right?
the green light didn't work well, I don't think.
What if they just started getting rid of games off Steam that were so negatively reviewed? They just allowed everything, but once things got so much negative feedback and nobody played it anymore, they just got rid of it. Then you're still allowing everything, but you get rid of the bad games over.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not running into these bad games that often, so
You literally have to search for them. You have to get your shovel out and your excavator gear and go digging through the Steam library to find these fucking.
I say I don't love the shovelware bad stuff, but I don't go looking for it, so it's not that big an issue. I'd rather have more people able to release more games and have some gems hidden than
If they were
maybe not get a game
censoring
released.
these new games that could potentially be bad, you wouldn't have games like Terraria. You know what I mean? That started off as a very terrible.
I was gonna say the same thing. Like even like Binding of Isaac comes to mind with that. Like
I mean, that was originally a Flash game, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like those games would probably have gotten filtered out by whoever's being like, "Oh, not good enough," and then that game never comes to fruition.
Yeah, I
I
mean
don't
that's true
trust
too.
people enough to filter, in my opinion.
That's also
what
true.
What are they like? What gives them the quality or the right to decide what's best?
Yeah,
just let everybody play it, and then if something becomes a problem, then you remove it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that too.
Which is essentially what they already do.
Yeah, kind of.
Like there has to be a major PR thing, like the shooting a school one, where everybody's like, "I get."
Yeah, I just have my biggest problem now is I don't want it's cool that Epic's offering these to these developers that are coming new to market with a brand new game and stuff like that. I don't absolutely in any way, shape, or form agree with them poaching games off of Steam, especially like Phoenix Point. Phoenix Point was the one that pissed me off the most. In fact, because I love XCOM games, like I absolutely love XCOM style games, but they ran their Kickstarter for Steam and GOG, and they in fact ran their first 2 beta tests on Steam. And then they're like, oh, wait, by the way, Epic offered us money. We're going to go on the Epic store. They have over, I think it was like a 55% refund rate already from all the Kickstarters because people only wanted to play it on one of those 2 launchers.
Yeah.
But I don't,
well, poaching is never good, right?
No.
Like
it's bad business.
Yeah, it's a negative connotation type word for sure.
Yeah, they definitely didn't give it a good word. It's not like we're going and having fun.
Yeah.
I mean, there needs to be some... There needs to be a better clause for that because you don't see freaking games that go up for Xbox all of a sudden, appear on PS4.
I guarantee
it's
you,
just so weird.
if anything, if Steam's or Valve is gonna reply to anything, I think it's gonna be their terms of service to combat that. If anything,
I think if game has already used Steam to advertise, which is one of their biggest selling points, is that 125 monthly or 125 million monthly users might see this game because we're advertising it. If they then go to Epic, like they just stole free advertising in my mind. I'm not like super into that idea, but at the same time, I'm like, that's a scumbag move, and I will personally remember it. I remember we were talking about it with a certain game that had the Steam logo on it when they were doing the advertising.
Metro?
Metro Exodus, yeah.
And they just slap a label over it.
Sticker on that. There you go. No problem.
And then I was like, dude, that is a garbage move. That's a garbage move, dude. I hate that.
Dude, it's greasy as fuck.
It was like the same day that they release it. Somebody goes and literally pulls up the label, and you see both labels there, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What
this
is
kind of
this?
ties back to the fact that these crappy quality games too, like the whole conspiracy that like companies just don't give a shit anymore. That's just about
Yeah.
like we're not gonna do these packages again. Just slap a label on that shit. Who gives a fuck? They'll buy it anyway.
And that's also another thing. Like a lot of companies are even moving away. Like I guarantee you, almost at least one of our next gen systems is not going to include game cartridges or drives, disk drives, or anything. It's all going to go digital download because they can control it.
Clubhouse.
But dude, I could definitely see some of that going crazy. Like I don't like this poaching thing, but going on our last little bit of that, at PAX East, I started actually asking, like, just out of curiosity, just for the sake of this talk show, I asked developers, hey, what do you guys think about the Epic Store stuff going on? And they're like, one of the developers, I don't want to name names because I don't want to put them out on the spot, but there's two of the major developers I talked to, they were very unhappy with it. They don't like at all, in any way, shape, or form, of what Epic is doing. As developers, they don't agree with it. They like the fact that they're offering a better cut, which is nice, but they still don't offer, even on the developer side, the same support, which is not just customer support now. We're talking about developer support. Is like still on that whole thing. Because like if they have an issue on the launcher and stuff, like yeah, they just have a whole another tier of support apparently on Steam. But just the fact that, of
course they don't have that on Epic.
Yeah.
The deal, like that's what I mean. They can't sustain the undercutting. They need to start taking poor percentages like Steam so that they can develop those layers of support like Steam has. Like that's the inevitability.
Yeah, and then that's the thing is like, and then even players, consumers just like me and you guys, like on a player level, nobody was happy with it either. I only heard a couple people like, I don't really care that much, but I talked to probably 70, 80 different people on the topic, just on the con floor playing games and stuff, and a lot of them were unhappy with it. It's the same thing, like it's becoming the general distaste. And it's surprising to hear that at a convention where you have all walks of life at this place, especially gamers.
Yeah, it's weird that you get like that unanimous feel that people are just kind of like this.
Yeah, and then the fact that most of the indie developers are aside of the ones that were already like moved to Epic, like for example, Industries of Titan and the company that makes Industries of Titan moved over to the Epic Store and didn't say anything about it. They're only just like, oh yeah, by the way, we're not coming until next year. It's still on the Steam store, but just the release date now has moved to May 2020 instead of April 20 or May 2019. Yeah. So they just made a silent move to avoid the publicity for it, which is even shadier, I think. Like now I'm like, I wanted to play these games, but now I won't support you because you're playing dirty.
I will say the one thing I hope for is all these small companies like Spellbreak and Hades. I don't know the companies behind them, but those games are small indie games, and hopefully Epic just handed them like $15 million, and now they get to make a much better game they'll release everywhere later down the road. And really, it's just a long con. That's my
in those games,
hope.
yeah, I could see that being a thing.
But yeah, for like Fallout 3, it's like, oh, nope.
Yeah, it could definitely be something interesting. But I in the long term, I hope either Valve responds with something, even if it's just a terms and conditions thing for people to not to post on one store and then say turn around and be like, oh, well, by the way, we're not going to release here until later now, or if at all. And then the poaching. I just want this poaching to stop. Like that's not cool in any way, shape, or form. Like it just makes me like every time I mention Epic now and I know that they're doing that on purpose, it just kind of makes me feel dirty.
Dude, it's like I said, it's like watching The Office. Like when Michael Scott kept coming back into Dunder Mifflin and like trying to grab people and drag them out with him. That's what Epic is doing. Like, we're not gonna do this anymore. And then like the next minute they're back in there.
Yeah, and it wasn't even a week. Like he made that statement saying we're gonna stop doing it because of what happened with Metro, and then a week later it comes out, oh yeah, we're gonna continue doing that. By the way, thanks.
I almost want to like record that scene and like meme it and put like the Epic Store over Michael's.
I like it. I support you making memes, dude.
I don't
Right.
know if everybody would get that one, but I would get it, and that's all that really.
So to wrap this week's episode up, we did promise at the beginning of the thing we're going to see Drunk Canadian's new secret project he's working on, which is actually kind of a cool outro / station channel thing or video. Sorry.
Hold on, real quick. These guys are bringing up amazing points. I just don't want to talk over them first and foremost. Secondly, I was really thinking heavily throughout the whole Epic Games discussion and whatnot. Basically agreeing with what Tommy said, and I was just going to add that I feel like for Epic Games Store and Steam both, they need to do a lot as far as like showcasing. Like we were talking about these small indie games and showcasing these small indie games more. And I saw yesterday even Epic Games doesn't even do this, but yesterday Steam had like a huge panel for like when you log on for Enter the Gungeon. And I was like, oh, that was so awesome. It'd be cooler if they could do that for like these smaller titles that don't get as much love and this and that. To help, you know,
they have a lot of ways of advertisement too. I mean, not just the banners on the main store page, but as soon as you open up Steam, you get the pop up saying, "Here's our latest and greatest offerings," basically. And I clicked through yesterday, and there was like
queue too.
Yeah,
the queue was really.
And there was like 20 different ways to find different games that were either on sale or having free weekends, doing new updates, whatever it was. And there's a lot of cool stuff there to see.
Yeah, so I do think mostly the ball is in Steam's court in that situation, but of course there's so much that Epic could learn and should learn and take from Steam, of course.
Yeah, and all their stuff for their updates and all that stuff, like the key features that I would even maybe consider using the store for, are not even till like the end of this year, which is absurdly long for what they need to do. Like Origin, for as bad as everybody hated that too, had cloud saves right from the get-go. Same thing with Uplay. Like
Uplay also had the Steam store or Steam Friends
linking
fucking list thing.
Yeah.
Origin's had that too.
Origin
does it too, yeah.
And Epic does too, but it was only just to pull your friends over, basically, like to invite your friends to the Epic store.
Yeah, they were using it as an advertising campaign.
Yeah.
Whereas the other ones were like, just bring your friends over, or whatever. Yeah. And I still hated those other ones, and I could do that. Epic, you're so much worth.
But I think that about wraps it up. If you guys haven't checked out all the awesome content creators on this channel, definitely do so. Kitty Crusade, Drunk Canadian, Kid Tutu, and myself, RuneShift Gaming. I definitely appreciate you guys being here and hanging out. And we're gonna see Drunk Canadian's new video project he's been working on. It's first shown to the world now. There you go. All right. Thanks to all much for joining us this week. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode of The INNsider. Have a good one, all. Enjoy this video. It's great. I love it. I've watched it a million times.
Thanks for watching.
The permit. I don't care if you buy a permit. Do you know how little I actually care if you have a permit?
About the fact that he received no support from that. I think Boat has some.
Yes, I do.
Oh,
I got some leaks for you.
It's like simple shit like that. Nope, simple shit like that. If he can't answer that,
I need to break in because I need more original every week. That's a goal.
Do you really actually get paid for
Oh.
that? Because you deserve money for that last one. That one
I'm
was
gonna-
a
Not
fucking
enough
amazing
drinks.
setup.